Hi student, Architecture 122. Today we will continue with chapter 3, Introduction to the Digital Manual Design Drawing Interface. In this chapter we will study about how computer help in design. Digital is one of the latest techniques and we use this for drawing, and I think that for another major they use digital for on of design, writing the program, or something else. In architecture we learn from this one from digital many years ago, and we start to do a lot of products by computer. However, in the office, many senior architects, they like to use for manual drafting or hand sketching than the computer. So it depends. Study of deformation, you can see this is some of the form, and after they change the shape, they give you a few of them in the design. If you see some of them, they have the shape, and after that they change the shape for some reason, and it make me thinking about the design should be changed. Follow that. About the deformation, we can view the model to show what deformation, and after that you can develop for your design. If you look at the left one, this is the 3D views for the room. If you see that some of the table, the door, the wall, they call that the 3D because on digital they can transfer for you from floor plan. If you use AutoCAD Revit, you can draw the floor plan. After that you apply for the elevation, the height from the building, and they can show you the 3D view like that. This is the 3D view. In 3D printing, we have we call it 3D because we see the horizontal, we see vertical, and we see the depth from the projects, and that's why we call that 3D. In manual drafting, we have 2D only because you see horizontal and vertical on the paper only. So 3D printing, that's one of digital fabrication, and it used a lot in the products for architecture right now. So for the definition, you need to know BIM. This stands for Building Information Modeling. Drafting software for Revit, AutoCAD, that is some of the digital technique right now we use a lot. They become not effective for drawing tool, but also precision for facilitator of the construction process. With BIM in the document, a wall is no longer defined simply by the lines. It has specified material properties. Because of such architects, engineers have ready access to the information. They need to communicate with the architects and compute with engineer feasibility. So BIM is building information model. This go with another information for the digital technique. Architectural design had a strong connection to the visual art, sculpture, and paintings. Like I told you very beginning, architecture is one of the major. They combine the art, the painting, and sculpture. That is some of the technique you need to learn. Is very support for architecture. There is a hand-eye brain dialogue of varying degrees of intensity that produce for a second of formal ideas. Hand-eye brain, that means you use hand for you can sketch, you can draw, eyes to look at the projects, and you brain to thinking about how to design for that one. We have few of the basic concept the intermediate form making, and the oldest design follow the spray design. First of all, we have basic conceptual form making in the beginning, modeling. If one conceptualizes an object, this object possesses attribute of dimensionality with lines defining plane and point defining lines. With the point from 2 points, we can define one line. With enough data, the designer would be able to create the real model. Hold it in his or her hand and look at it from any viewpoint. With designer, they can do one the real model, and after that, they can look in different view for make sure there's more developed for the function from the building. Number 2, intermediate form making beyond basic. One method is to sketch over the photographs of simple model with details, design element to process the higher level of design decision. You can sketch some photograph, and after that you develop more detail. The design is no longer abstract and become input with different level from interpretation as detail are at. The design right now, they didn't tell us like abstract or some kind like the different level from the detail. Number 3, object design versus space design. Architecture design consists of both object design and space design. Objects is the one very target from the design, and the space that means hold up around the object. Perspective are most useful at early conceptual state when rendering is not most effective in communicating the intent character of design without being required to have solved on problem. Perspective that is used for on of the concept state, and after that to communicate is for rendering. It's used for design and required for on of the problem if you want to solve that. Number 4, digital manufacturing. The technology of physically construct 3D geometric directly from, that's the digital. 3D CAD data but began in 1980s as the way to make a prototype from the part for analysis before investing time and money in the mass manufacturing of products with industrial state from art material and quality control. 3D started from 1980. I remember I'm started to study the AutoCAD on 1997 when I got the first interview. So that means they start from here, but I've learned 10 years later, more than 10 years. More conceptual products. Manufacturing had the advantage of this and the cost saving when used at the initial state of the product design. If the concept you do manufacturing and advise for the speed, that means they do faster and you can save the cost for design. Over the first decade of 21st century, there have been explosion on the market of available hardware to bring the efficiency up and price down. On 21st century, many markets explode, and after that they bring the cost down for the manufacturer, the digital. The architect educator use rapid and accurate sketches as the primary tool in arriving at her very detailed design decision without building any model. When all of the plan section and elevation were synchronized, CAD drawing, synchronized CAD drawing were then introduced during the construction document phase. When architect and educator, they use for the sketch, and they use all of the tool to do that, and they have design decision without the building for the models. But when the CAD computer asks for design and development, drawing were then introduced during the construction document phase. So basic drawing can be come down at that time for construction document. This is some of design of the large scale projects. If you have the large scale for the building, and you can create a model, or you can do the view from that building. It depends on interior or exterior before you start to do for home projects. We have many examples from digital. For example, this one is designed for large scale. When you say large scale, that means maybe the mall or some of the urban design, whole of the city with many building, many public park, many street, freeway, something like this around area. You call that the large scale. Some of the cultural study case, you can see many culture in US, so that's why depend on this, the culture and the design may be different. Same thing like the case study about the culture, because US is the country, we have many different culture, so that's why in design sometimes it show very different face in design. You can see many projects, they have the cultural meaning in design. So if you come to some area, depend on the people, you can see that a different design depend on their culture. Many shape from the building is so focused on the culture. And you can see like that can be different. It's not the same. It can be different shape. It can be different height. It can be different style from the roof one. Or it's sometimes that they have many level, different one, and transition is different also. That's many case study for digital, so you can see that all of them is so complicated. This is some cultural in theater, and you can see the special insulation. You can see the insulation and the design is so interesting for this culture. We can see many different kind from the building with different kind from shape, and it shows some of special cultural design. You can see another one in interior view of the building. Interior is show the strong point from that culture. So that's the on of the chapter for today. Basically, right now you can see many projects. They use a lot of digital computer ad when they do the products. However, I don't know how about another company, but with me when I work for 4 companies, I saw that they use both manual drafting and digital. However, the manual drafting we do very fast on the first phase, and after that the rest of them they transfer to the document drawing on computer, and they combine both of them. Okay, that's it for chapter today's, and see you next time.